highlighted the challenges inherited by assumed office. Since assuming office in May 2023, Tinubu has introduced sweeping economic reforms, including the removal of fuel subsidy, floating of the naira, and tax changes. While these measures are aimed at stabilizing Nigeria's economy, they have triggered a sharp rise in the cost of living. Governor of Osun State, Ademola Adeleke, has demanded the immediate release of over 130 billion naira in statutory allocations allegedly withheld from the state's local governments, warning that the continued blockade is crippling grassroots governance and inflicting hardship on workers and residents. In a statewide broadcast on the illegal occupation of local government secretariats and the defense of democratic order earlier today, Adeleke said court sacked All Progressives Congress APC chairman and councillors had unlawfully occupied council offices across the state for nearly a year, despite judgments of the Federal High Court in November 2022 and confirmations by the Court of Appeal in February and June 2025 nullifying their elections. Adeleke accused the former governor of Osun State, Boyega Oyetola, of allegedly backing the continued occupation with police support, an action he said undermines democracy and the rule of law. He further alleged that local government workers who attempted to resume duty were harassed and intimidated by armed police officers and political thugs. Adeleke disclosed that since February 2025, statutory allocations due to Osun local governments, now totaling about 130 billion naira, have not been released to the legal accounts of the councils. He said the funds are critical for the payment of salaries of primary school
such
teachers,
a huge amount of money is being debated like this.
Primary healthcare centers, councils, and retirees. Calling for federal intervention, Adeleke appealed to President Bola Tinubu to ensure the release of the withheld funds and to protect democratic institutions. A top U.S. Africa Command lieutenant says Christmas Day strikes by the United States on northwest Nigeria targeted militants linked to an Islamic State wing largely active in neighboring Niger. John Brennan said this on the sidelines of a U.S.-Nigeria security meeting where he...
Where is money for your water? Coming back. You're coming back.
He expressed worry over ISSP's spread from the Sahel into coastal West African countries like Nigeria. The clarification comes on the heels of reports of public scare, possibility of civilians also being casualties of the strikes. United States President Donald Trump said U.S. forces conducted powerful and deadly strikes against Islamic State militants in northwestern Nigeria on Christmas Day after he warned the group to stop killing Christians in the country.
The racism in this country obviously tells you that division is needed. Like everybody is not one. The racism is coming where.
Nigerian authorities. The attacks marked the first by U.S. forces in Nigeria under Trump and came after the Republican leader unexpectedly berated Nigeria in October and November, saying Christians in the country faced existential threats that amounted to genocide. On the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump's administration, his Make America Great Again MAGA allies have disseminated a flurry of misinformation about the fatal shooting of Alex Pretty in the U.S. state of Minneapolis. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, claimed that 37-year-old Pretty, an ICU nurse, had approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun and that agents had attempted to disarm the suspects, while the armed suspect violently resisted. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara later said Pretty was a lawful gun owner with a permit and that his only criminal history was a few traffic tickets. Despite the video evidence, Border Patrol Commander at Large Greg Bovino said Pretty's gun showed that he wanted to do and massacre law enforcement. Stephen Miller, Deputy Chief of Staff for Police Policy and Homeland Security, claimed without evidence that Pretty was an assassin who tried to murder federal agents, while DHS Secretary Kristi Noem said he had violently